Hey there! Welcome back to Dark Souls 2. This is Daz. Today we are going to tackle our first real challenge, the Forest of Fallen Giants. Let's get pumped up. Much better. Before we actually go to the forest proper, there is something I want to pick up on a side path. Technically, this path down here leads to Hade's Tower of Flame, but along the way there's something useful. Enemy. Are they talking about this thing? Okay. Maybe something will happen later? Here we are. In this chest, we find the Crimson Parma. The Crimson Parma is a free shield. It's not particularly impressive or very good, but we are a little starved for souls at the moment, so free is no salient factor here. You can raise your shield to block attacks, and that will reduce or even nullify incoming damage types, depending on the shield. You can also try for more advanced maneuver and parry with the shield. Parrying is difficult but rewarding. It takes a lot of practice to successfully and consistently parry an enemy type. But if you can do it, it'll make things a lot easier for you. So if you feel like using smaller shields that are faster, they're much better at parrying, then it is a useful skill to master. The ghosts aren't even showing up. How are these people dying? I know it's sort of part of the game's marketing, but you'd think you'd at least try to avoid it. Rusted coins, we pick up some of those and things betwixt, are consumable items that very infinitesimally raise your drop rate. It's like by 1% or something. It's very, it's almost a placebo, to be honest. Yep, people love to lie with their messages. It's sort of endearing, but it's also kind of annoying. This portcullis here can be a bit of a trap to newer players, because it almost immediately falls down behind you. I'm going to assume that if you're standing under it, it's not going to feel too nice. Another human effigy. Now, we could get that item by jumping here, but that is very risky because undead can't swim. I think it's like part of the lore, like vampires can't cross bodies of water without coffins. Undead just sink right to the bottom. Fortunately, there is an alternate route, and it's much safer. Our reward is a homeward bone. Homeward bones are very useful consumable items that will take us back to the last bonfire we rested at. They're good for just cutting down on travel time and for emergencies. Alright. These guys are hollow infantrymen. They're not very challenging. However, they like to come in great numbers, and they are better equipped than the hollows we faced in the things betwixt. Some of them even have weapons that aren't broken. As you can see, if we block attack with our Crimson Armor, they do much less damage. But because the physical damage reduction on the shield is not very high, it still gets through. So we want to. So even with this shield, we still want to dodge most of what comes at us. Now here's an interesting mechanic about bonfires. The first time you light a bonfire, that counts as resting at it for purposes of respawning. So, if we were to die here, we would go back to that bonfire instead of the one with Jula, even though we have not properly rested at it. This is useful when you're exploring new areas, because sometimes you'll come across a new bonfire while you're still in relatively good shape and you don't want to respawn all the enemies. This is a parry. As you can see, successfully parrying will knock an enemy flat on its butt and leave them open to a, quite frankly, ridiculously powerful counterattack. This is where things start getting tricky. That infantryman over there is shooting arrows at us while we have to deal with the other hollows, such as the one equipped with the sword and shield. Don't try parrying on uneven ground. It's weird. It doesn't work. Enemies love that trick, especially humanoid ones. Playing dead is probably one of the most commonplace tricks that the game will use to catch you off guard. So always keep an eye out on corpses that you yourself have not created. Try fleeing. Well, okay. I guess if things get too hairy, we can always do that. Alright, this room is probably the game's first real challenge. It's filled to the brim with hollow infantrymen, and a particular note is that guy up there who's shooting arrows. It's hard enough to deal with all these guys at once, especially with just a dagger. But if you combine it with the guy that's sniping at us, it is a really difficult fight for new players. The curious thing about enemy arrows in this game is that they have slight homing properties, and they can curve slightly in midair to better track you. It's kinda stupid, but we just have to deal. So the big fellow sitting down there is a Haid Knight. Haid Knights are powerful enemies that will not actually automatically aggro you. So given how weak we are and the fact that there is still an asshole up there shooting at us, we should probably leave this guy alone and try out our broken straight sword elsewhere. The broken straight sword is slightly more powerful than the dagger, and it has more reach, but it's still kind of a piece of crap, and it does not give any bonus on critical hits. It also has a different attack pattern, so that actually sort of comes to bite me here because it swings wide. And swinging wide in narrow hallways like this just means that your weapon bounces right off the walls. This means that not only does your attack usually not land, the durability of the weapon goes down much faster if it smacks against the wall. Durability can be viewed by looking at the bottom left item display, and there's a little bar under each of the items there. And as it goes down, that means it's closer to breaking. Having your weapons break at a crucial moment is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you in this game. So it pays to pay attention. Short sword. Unfortunately, we don't have the stats yet to wield this. As you can see, the dexterity requirement of 10 is marked with red numbers, which means we do not have dexterity enough to wield it. So for now, we're going to have to stick with our broken straight sword. It's serviceable, I guess. There's some treasure over there, but to get it we have to make a pretty dangerous jump. Our reward is throwing knives. Throwing knives are actually pretty darn useful at this stage of the game. They are a projectile attack, and they have no stat requirements attached to them. More enemies playing dead by the fog door. It can make rushing through this area, if you've already cleared it, pretty dangerous because there are so many hollow infantrymen in here. It's also quite profitable to pay attention to messages that are left by other players. Because while most of the time they're lies or stupid jokes, other times they will alert you to the presence of enemies you might not already know about. Like that guy hiding around the corner. Alright, there's just one guy there. This shouldn't be a problem. Let's take him out quick. Oh. Okay, there's two guys there. This shouldn't be a problem. Let's take them out quick. Well, that is an abject lesson in one of the most important things you need to learn about this game. Do not rush into an area unless you are sure of what is ahead of you. In those close quarters, the two hollow infantrymen were very dangerous, because we didn't have very much room to move around. And it was very easy for them to gang up and take us out before we really had a chance to heal and react. It also demonstrated one of the greatest weaknesses in daggers and broken straight swords. Their reach is atrocious. Any other weapon probably would have been able to outrange the weapon that the hollow was swinging and kill him before it had hit us. Unfortunately, our military hardware is a little bit outdated. So next time we're just going to have to be more careful. When the option is available to you, You should always try and take out enemies that can snipe at you first. Of course, with the case of the guy up here with the bow, that's not always a very feasible option, because you have to fight through a bunch of other hollows just to get to him. In those cases, just stay mobile, try not to stay in one place for too long, roll when you can, keep your shield up, and just be ready to heal. Don't be shy with using life gems. They're there for a reason, and they are a renewable resource. Use throwable items and the like. You just need to slot them into your belt and switch to them like you would with a healing item. What's the person? Since we've already gotten the items up and around there, there's no reason to actually go and deal with the guy that's shooting arrows. He won't follow us this far. Alright, let's try this area again. Armed with some foreknowledge, and perhaps learning from our mistakes, we can neutralize this encounter fairly easily with some throwing knives. What? Where'd he go? Oh! Went around back. I would not say that the AI in this game is particularly good or clever, but the level design is such that you can be flanked like that fairly often. Wood bolts are ammunition for a weapon we do not have yet. This guy is a hollow soldier. Presumably, in life and sanity, he was a better trained and better equipped version of the infantryman. But now he's just sort of lumbering around and he has a bigger sword. They are certainly greater threats than the infantrymen, but in the scheme of things, they are not particularly dangerous. However, some varieties of the hollow soldiers can throw firebombs at you, and firebombs hurt quite a bit. Take my advice. If you're not totally proficient at parrying, just kill the guy. It looks cool and it feels good, but just kill the guy. Another foot soldier sword. Let's take a look at it. It has low stat requirements, so we can use it. And while it is not particularly great, it's better than a 5-inch dagger or a broken piece of metal. It's also a bit more powerful than the short sword. As you can see, the extra reach it gives us is very much appreciated. The buckler is a new shield, and it's another light shield like the Parma, but it has a fairly steep dex requirement, so we can't equip it yet. Or, if we do, the game will kindly tell us that we cannot use this yet, and if we try to, it's not going to work very well. Before we investigate that, it always pays to sort of canvass the area for potential goodies. Now, as you can see, that riposte did not actually one-shot this guy. That's because the foot soldier's longsword does not have the critical hit bonus that the dagger does. And while it is all around a better weapon, if you are heavy into backstabs and ripostes, then a dagger might actually be a better choice for you. This is the Cardinal Tower bonfire, and we will be returning here a lot throughout the course of the game.
Buy something, anything. Oh, come now, help an old woman and buy something. My name is Melentia. You're a stranger to this land. Oh, we get as strangers these days. Everybody's gone and run off. Drangleic's been up a pile of rubble since the war fought long, long ago. And the giants crossed the sea. Seemed like the battles would never end. Poor folk like myself have nary a place to sleep. That's why I keep all me things right with me. You may travel light, but methinks you bear a burden of your own. They say these trees grew from the remains of the giants. From each carcass sprouted new life growing into what you see now. But you know what they also say? Don't believe what an old hag says. It's high time that I pick up a move. I've a bargain for you next time we meet, my love.
This is Melentia. She sells a variety of useful items, including some fairly basic weaponry, including the cestus, which is pretty significant if you want to go for a punchy character. She also sells the traveling merchant's clothes, and a variety of consumables, and even some basic spells. However, what we really want right now is Leningrast's key. How Melentia came up with that, I don't exactly know if the means that she used to acquire it were particularly lawful, but we have it back now, and we can open up Leningrast's shack. Let's show off the travel function of the bonfires. With the press of a button, we're back to Majula. This is largely a necessity because Majula is the only place we can level up. Let's just take this short bow as payment for opening the door.
Ah, yes, very good. Now I can get to work. But first, let me set up. Come again later.
Fair enough. We can use all the souls that we picked up to add them to our total soul count. While we're doing this, let's use these souls to level up a little bit since we're in the Majula area.
Bearer of the seek lest.
She says that spiel every time we talk to her. For now, let's pump up our decks a bit, because a lot of weapons seem to require that. Vigor and endurance are good on literally every kind of character, so let's pump those up too. have the necessary dexterity to equip the short sword if we so desire. Fortunately, we do not have enough dexterity for the short bow yet, so we'll have to keep that in reserve. We haven't really found anything that's actually better than the imported set that we're wearing. So since it's light, we should probably just keep it on. Heavier equipment often offers better protection, but in exchange it raises your equip burden, and when that goes over a certain point you start moving more slowly, stamina does not regenerate as quickly, and your rolls become shit. Locked. If you know they're there, you can easily get the drop on enemies that are playing dead. The following area is completely optional, but it does have some very useful things in it. Plunging attacks. Who even knows how they work? The hole in the wall to our left is our ticket out of here when we're done exploring. So we need to be careful when we go down here so that we don't land in an area where there's a bunch of enemies. So let's just take it slow, carefully line up where we're gonna— oh god. That didn't happen. Where did he come from? Gravity in this game is basically magic. Each torch we find will add a little bit of total torch timer to us. You can only have the torch up for a limited number of times depending on how many you've found. Fortunately, for all but very specific gimmick runs, you will have more than enough torch time to suit your needs. As we get stronger, hollow infantrymen will just completely cease to pose a threat. But for now, they still come in large enough numbers and with strong enough weaponry to put a dent in our health bar if we're careless. Except for that guy. He just kind of came at us with bare fists, and I don't really know what he was thinking. I'm not entirely sure whether it's just statues littering this area. We can break them down, but I'm not really sure what that does either, so probably just a waste of weapon durability, so let's leave them alone. This cave looks pretty dangerous, so let's actually take that one out so we have a clear method. Oh, hello. Dark Souls 2 is quite fond of ambushing you to go into narrow areas like this. So, if you're unsure what's going to happen as you venture in further, you should take the time and make sure that nobody's following you. This fire salamander up here is very tough, and we can't even reach him with our weapons at the moment, so we just need to avoid his fireballs and leave him alone. Our prize for doing so is quite valuable, however. A fire longsword. We do not have enough strength to wield this effectively. However, if you two-hand a weapon that you don't have enough strength to use, it effectively cuts the strength requirement to use it in half. So we can still use this longsword as long as we don't remove our shield with it. It's a big enough power boost for now that I'm more than willing to make that trade. Aw. Corpses in this game have some unsettling habit of teleporting and physicsing as you sort of leave and re-enter their area of existence, I guess. Valentia sells throwing daggers in unlimited supply, so there's not really a reason to be stingy with the ones we have, especially if they save us some trouble. We're back up here at the Cardinal Tower bonfire, so let's take a rest. And start exploring what's below us. Here we're starting to get into the fort area proper. Soldiers wielding halberds can do a lot of damage and they have great reach, so treat them with respect. Not this guy though, this guy sucks. A fire longsword is a pretty noticeable increase in how much damage we can do, especially since we're two-handing it. It will be even stronger against enemies that have a weakness to fire, of which there are many. To our right is another optional area, but we'll explore that a little bit later. This guy appears a little bit annoying, because he will chuck firebombs at us. So if we want to fight around this area, it will behoove us to take him out with throwing daggers, or arrows if we have them. Hollowed soldiers with spear and shield can be very dangerous, because they will actually take the initiative and block our attacks if we're not careful. Their spears are also quick and they have good reach. That was unexpected, but okay. that blows up a little shortcut. It's not especially useful, but it saves a little bit of time. It was also fairly nearly lethal, but let's forget about that part. If an enemy has their shield up, you can use a guard break attack to stagger them. Now, the guard break attack is fairly slow, and it has a pretty obvious wind-up time, so you should only use it if you're fairly sure that the enemy is going to keep their shield up. Boss above. That sounds interesting. Are you seeing this? Guy over there? Oh god. Whoever this guy is, he has a very large sword. However, his attacks are fairly predictable now. Never mind. His attacks really hurt. Okay. Great. Wonderful. One combo and we're dead. That's wonderful. That seems like a pretty good time to take a break. We've made some pretty good headway in the fort, unlocked some shortcuts, got owned by a paratrooper giant armor man. That's a pretty productive day. Next time we'll explore more of the Forest of Fallen Giants. I hope to see you then.